Happy New Year, guys, and welcome back to The Vegan View.
I'm Dani.
I'm NISHA.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Hannah.
And this is
The Vegan View.
Cheers.
So it is a new year, and this time of year, a lot of people are trying out veganism for the first time. So we thought we would share some of our tips because it is now Veganuary. NISHA, what is Veganuary?
So Veganuary is a UK program that was launched in January 2014. It's a registered charity and it encourages people to try veganism for the month of January.
Okay, my first tip is to immerse yourself in information and kind of become obsessed with going vegan to fuel your passion for it. Like, this is what I did when I first went vegan, and I think that this really started the fire for me and made me super passionate about veganism. I watched every documentary, I watched every YouTube video, and it makes you really excited about your new lifestyle, and it fuels you with information so you can be really confident in the decision that you made. So that's my biggest tip for you, is just do your research and do a lot of it.
What are some of y'all's favorite resources for learning new information?
YouTube. I was like,
Same.
I love seeing real people living the vegan lifestyle and so many different types of people. And you just get so many ideas of what to eat and how you can still be normal and be vegan. And just cool to see other people who are vegan too.
Especially on YouTube, you find people you can relate to. You'll just type in something like vegan breakfast ideas or vegan meal prep ideas, whatever sounds like something that would be good for your life. You can just type that in. You're going to find so many videos, and there's so many different types of vegans in the world and so many different types of people that just happen to be vegan. So you're not going to be able to relate with all of them, but eventually you find 2 or 3 that you're just oh my gosh, this person inspires me so much. And whenever I find those people, I end up binge watching their videos and just so helpful.
Yeah, I really like Instagram because I like to scroll through my feed and have different vegan things pop up. And there's a lot of vegan accounts that have memes that have information on them that I find really helpful. Just kind of as you're going through your day, something pops up and reminds you, oh, okay, that's why that's a better choice or whatever. I also like Vegan Sidekick, which is an Instagram that has snarky comics that are good for comebacks. I think
I don't know about
if you ever feel like you're in a situation where you want to have a good comeback.
They're edgy, funny comment.
Right.
I haven't heard of it either.
Yeah, it's fun.
Sometimes I kind of miss that time when I was a new vegan and I would find a new vegan YouTuber or something.
And just be obsessed.
Yes, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, someone else is vegan. This is so great. And I missed that time. It was really exciting when it's a new lifestyle and something new to embrace.
And YouTube has so many of those categories that are tips for new vegans, because I know I have a video, I'm pretty sure you have a video, you have video.
I don't, but I will.
And I can make one for you guys. And I know this website that I really like is Your Vegan Fallacy Is.
Oh, I love that. You show me that.
So good.
I haven't heard that yet.
It's so great.
What is it?
Yeah, it has all these different things you can click on. It's a very visual website and has comebacks or common questions that people have when they first go vegan. So do plants have feelings? What would happen if the whole world went vegan? And just other vegan fallacies, we have canines, just stuff. Oh, lions eat meat, the regular stuff you hear. And it's just interesting because it's so well thought out and well written that it's just easy to digest and take in and kind of learn more. And I don't know, you never know when someone's going to tell you something really dumb.
Yeah, and you can just go there and find one that you get all the time and just kind of keep that little bit of information in your back pocket. It's not like you have to memorize the whole thing, but it's so helpful because especially when you're a new vegan, you do get asked a lot of questions and you don't always know what to say. So sites like that are just
That's awesome. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. Our next tip is to focus on what you are adding to your diet and not what you're taking away, because veganism is... A lot of people think it's about being very restrictive, and you focus so much on, oh, I can't have meat, I can't have dairy, I can't have eggs. There's so many things that you are used to having in your day-to-day life, and all of a sudden you're like, well, what's left? I just feel like that's not the best way to go about it, because you're already kind of starting from a place of wah, wah,
Defeatist.
Yeah, defeated and feeling overwhelmed. If instead you just kind of think oh, I'm going to try this new thing, I'm so excited to try this recipe, or even if you're just eating the same oatmeal you always make where you add more fruits and vegetables to it, you're adding abundance to your life and adding new flavors, new foods, and it can be a really fun, positive thing that makes you feel abundant and more empowered in that way. So that's like, that was one of the most important shifts for me, especially having had an eating disorder in the past, because if you start focusing on restriction, it's just kind of triggering, and it really starts you with like the stress spiral of like, well, I can't eat that and I can only eat this and this is my food, and it gets really weird. So you really have to just be like easy breezy about it and just be really grateful and happy about the abundance of food in front of you.
Another tip we have is don't be afraid to indulge. This is the newest thing you're trying. Don't try to be too healthy or too junk foody, but try to find some kind of balance where you're trying vegan junk food on the side, as well as starting this new healthier lifestyle. Like for me, if I really wanted to crave chicken or meat, I would go and get that substitute instead of just being miserable and just eating like plain rice and beans.
And I think it's important to remember too that when you are, say you're craving chicken and you want to go find like a replacement for that, don't expect it to be chicken. It's not going to be chicken, but it should taste good enough for you to like fill that void. And especially I find with cheese, a lot of people who are having trouble giving up cheese, they feel like they will never find a cheese that's going to taste exactly like cheese. And personally, I think there's a lot of great vegan options out there. Especially nowadays, it just keeps getting better and better. But I think it's also important to remember that it's not cheese. So it's not going to taste exactly like cheese. You may find something that tastes as good or better, to me better, but don't be looking for that to be the exact replacement for what you were eating before you were vegan.
Yeah, and don't get discouraged right away if you don't love vegan cheese, because your taste buds do change.
It's crazy.
I forget what the amount of days, but I think like every 90 days or something, your taste buds renew. So, I mean, for the first 3 months of being vegan, you might still miss meat, you might still miss cheese, but just keep being patient and going for it, because you'll adjust. And like now I don't ever crave non-vegan things. Like if I feel like I'm craving chicken, like I'm craving Gardein chicken.
Yeah.
You know? Like I'm craving follow your heart cheese. Like I want the fake stuff. Like I would never think of a real meat product as like food anymore. You know, and even 2 years into going vegan, I'm still trying new vegan junk food all the time, and it's so exciting to see new vegan things popping up in the stores all the time now. And it's just fun to try new things, and you feel like that's made like especially for you. So I feel like it's really exciting.
Totally. And this is another thing too where it's important to eat enough, because if you are having these massive meat and cheese cravings, those are very calorically dense foods, and they're generally really fatty as well. So you might just be craving calories and food, and you're thinking, oh, I have to eat a cheeseburger, but really you just need to eat more. So that's important to remember.
That's true. That's so hard to do at first, I think, because we're so used to eating small portions, and that's such a big part of the standard American diet, is that everything needs to be like smaller portions. That's how you stay fit. That's how you stay in shape. But getting used to eating double that is kind of hard at first. It's the best part, but it is kind of hard. So
before going vegan, I tried doing juice cleanses a few times, and like literally every time I'd be doing a juice cleanse all day long, I would have In-N-Out for dinner. Because I was like, I need food, and like my body was literally thinking of like the fattiest, like greasiest, calorically dense thing I could think of. Every time without fail, I would have In-N-Out for dinner. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, this is such a bad juice cleanse.
That's like when people are like, oh, French people stay so thin because they eat such small portions of like
rich
meat,
food.
Cheese, and I'm like, they're eating such rich foods because they're eating such small portions. Like I would eat that rich fatty food if I wasn't eating enough either.
That's so you're like trading it. You can have this much steak, or you can have like this much potatoes and fruit and pasta.
The best.
So it's up to you, but I think one sounds better than the other.
It's literally one of the main reasons I went vegan was because I love to eat, and I've never been one of those people who could just sustain like tiny little portions all the time. I needed to eat more, and this was like, you can eat until
not
you're
feel
fully
guilty
satisfied and be happy and healthy. And I was like, what?
And not being afraid of carbs. Oh my gosh, that's the best part for me. I was like,
freedom.
The fact that I could eat like so much pasta and not feel bad.
Oh my gosh. I remember someone told me like potatoes were the worst food for you ever. And that was so sad to me. I was like, I love potatoes.
I know.
So when I found out I could eat them, I was like,
You're like,
the fear of carbs is real though. Like that's one of the biggest comments. Besides where do you get your protein, it's also
you eat a lot of carbs.
but you eat a lot of carbs, don't you? And I'm like 95%.
Our next tip is to be careful about talking about your new lifestyle. I know for myself and Dani, we were very vocal about it at first, and it wasn't the best received from certain people. So I think you can't expect everyone to be supportive of you right off the bat, especially with such a big lifestyle change. So I think it's better probably to just ease yourself into telling people maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I didn't tell anyone for almost 6 months into being vegan. I was like mostly plant-based a year before. I've been vegan for 3 years now. So a year before that, I was like primarily plant-based, and I didn't tell anyone at all about it. And then when I went vegan 100%, didn't tell anyone else about it. And it was like such a special, intimate time of like getting to know myself, what I like, and just knowing that I'm doing it for myself. And I don't know, it's like very transcendental, spiritual.
Yeah. And like feeling like having the proof in yourself to be like, wow, I've been doing it for 6 months and I feel amazing.
Yeah.
So there's nothing anyone can say to bring me down at this point, because when you first go vegan, there's going to be people who try to discourage you and tell you it's unhealthy and tell you it's weird. And when you're new and just trying something, you're still really vulnerable, and you don't want to put yourself in that situation where you're arguing with your close friends and family. I mean, it's gonna happen. Sorry.
Eventually, yeah.
But like, I feel like it'll be better once you be like, well, I've been doing it for this long and I feel great, you know?
Yeah.
I wish I had waited a little bit before it would have saved me some
Right, because
arguments.
if you're like, oh, I've been doing it for 2 months and I'm great, then people don't have as much to say as if you tell them like the day after you decide to go vegan, and they have all these things to be like, you don't even know what you're getting into. At least at that point you can say, I do know what I'm getting into.
And at the beginning, I would also say, like, instead of being, oh, I'm trying to go vegan, I'd say, oh, I'm trying to eat more vegetables.
Yeah.
And people were
Plant-based.
stoked about it. But once I dropped the V word, people were not so crazy about it.
The V word is so triggering to people.
I said vegetarian at first, so I don't know if you necessarily like don't have to tell anyone, but maybe just tell like select people. Like I think I really only told my mom. And she was just like, she asked a few basic questions, but not judgmentally, obviously. And then she actually started eating very similarly very soon after, because it was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, again, it's just eating healthier, more fruits and vegetables. So I remember going to a bridal shower like after like maybe a month, and I hadn't really told anyone officially, and I was sort of like avoiding all the meat things, and I had just a veggie sandwich that was there, and one of my friends noticed, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm vegetarian. And she's like, you're not eating meat? But it was more out of like, shock. What? Because none of our friends were vegetarian. I didn't know any other vegetarians or vegans. And it was more like, yeah, and you know what? I feel really good. I feel like I'm kind of like, feel a little lighter, I have more energy. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. She's like, aren't you hungry? And then that was like her only question. And then after that, it was like easy. I was like, okay, that was like my first one. It went well. And then I felt comfortable doing it like more and more. But it was more about being like in my power and not letting other people be judgmental of it.
Yeah. Okay, so our fifth and final tip is don't worry about being perfect. I think a lot of people think that the end goal of veganism is to be a perfect vegan, and that's not it. Just be a compassionate person. We all mess up still after years of being vegan. I know I accidentally ordered a salad with cheese the other day, and I was like, oh no, you know, like, and picking out the cheese, that every piece of cheese I could get out of the salad. But we all mess up sometimes. Don't beat yourself up about it. It happens, and you're just trying to live your life more compassionately. Don't stress out about it.
For that though, I would say it's really easy to get overwhelmed too, thinking like you can only buy vegan, like obviously food, but that veganism extends to the clothes that you wear, and you feel like you have to throw out all your clothes and go get new groceries. And we talk about this on the show all the time, but it's not about starting totally over from scratch and spending all this money on this brand new lifestyle. It's really just about easing in and like leaning into it and just being open to trying new things. And when you do have the opportunity to find a vegan product, you know, that's similar to the one you had before, like you'll just swap it out. It just happens slowly and gradually, and it's just about trying to make the best decision whenever it's presented to you.
And I think it's important to remember when you make these mistakes, you're not like defiling your body. I know some people think like if they accidentally eat something with an egg in it or something, they're like so worried about getting sick or I don't know, messing up their health sometimes. Most probably you ate animal products for most of your life.
Yeah.
So I think like one mess up, you're gonna be fine. I used to eat these like vegetarian chow mein noodles all the time, and then I found out they had egg in them, and I was just like, oh, okay, we'll find another alternative, move on, and that was that.
Yeah.
You can't beat yourself up.
So you don't have to try to be so perfect and strict all the time, but if you do want to just be really thorough when you're ordering in a restaurant, I try not to use the word vegan until the end. I do say it because I want it to be extremely clear, but I won't say it in the beginning because there's so much confusion. Sometimes people confuse it with like all different kinds of diets, even gluten-free. They'll think it's kind of one and the same, and it's completely different. So I'll say, you know, does this have any animal products in it? If it's rice, like at a Mexican restaurant, I'll say, you know, is it cooked with lard? Was it cooked with chicken broth? Or I'll say, are there eggs, butter, and dairy, like if it's bread or pizza or pasta or anything? And that way it's very specific ingredients. And then I'll say, I can't have dairy, and then at the very end, like when they're going back to verify, I'll say just tell the chef it needs to be completely vegan, and they'll be like, oh, okay. And that way, because there's also a liability for servers, I've worked in restaurants for so long, if there's any chance of like an allergy, they have to legally be very, very careful and relay that message, otherwise they can be liable. So if you word it right, you don't have to be obnoxious, but if you just make it clear that it's something that's important, they have to take it seriously.
Yeah. I think it's
a great
really
tip.
funny that a lot of people think that flour isn't vegan. I've like asked a lot of restaurants, I'll be like, oh, is that pasta vegan? And they're like, well, it has flour, so obviously it's not vegan.
Yeah, they really confuse gluten-free with vegan a lot. It's not about, again, it's like what you said, it's not being perfect. It's about like really extending your
Perfection is
compassion.
the enemy
It's
of
a journey.
progress.
It's a journey. It's absolutely a journey. I think diet is probably one of the easier first steps that you can make, just because it's something that, you know,
You
we
do
have
every
you do
day.
every day. We have a lot of options.
You get a lot of
It's
practice.
just, and then you extend it to other portions of your life.
Don't
And,
worry about it in the beginning.
yeah,
'cause,
make it enjoyable.
yeah, it'll come natural to you once you know, start living your life compassionately and like thinking about the animals and like the ethical side of things. It'll just come naturally,
does,
you know? Like you'll start thinking every time you buy something like, oh, I wonder how this was made. I wonder what's in it, you know? And just let that come with time and when it feels natural for you.
It's so funny because when you think about it, veganism is a societal construct. It is it's like a construct to a set of morals we have that we apply to like what we purchase and what we wear and what we do. And we have all these people arguing about like the semantics of what makes someone vegan and not. And it's just it's all up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think making any change in your life is better than nothing. Like even if you're just switching over to cruelty-free makeup, like that's awesome. That's better than buying non-cruelty-free makeup.
amazing.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
The people who are making the world worse are not the people who are trying to do better and doing it wrong. It's the people who aren't doing anything. And you're doing so much by just being passionate and trying out veganism, just even if it's just for the month of January. I think it's going to change like your outlook on like what you buy and how you live and how the world works, and it's a really magical, cool thing.
And it's fun to get to try new foods. Like if that's the only reason you do it, like no shame, have fun, try a bunch of vegan products. Like there is so much good stuff out there. You're gonna have a really good time.
Yeah.
And it feels really good to know that everything that you're buying is like a positive effect on the world. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of addicting to,
Yeah.
you know, feel like you're doing something better. Like as simple as going to the grocery store, like, wow, every product that I'm purchasing like didn't cause harm to anyone. Like that's just such a awesome feeling, and you get kind of, I don't know, like really like amped up about like helping others and like wanting to do good in the world, you know? So
I was saying that the other day that I think veganism has made me such a happier person.
Me too.
If anything, just for sitting down every day when I eat, just knowing that I'm not harming another living creature and that I'm doing something that's better for the environment, that little change, even though I may not think that every time I sit down, I know that in my heart, and it makes me feel better and it makes me feel happier.
I've described it as a sense of peace. Like it is just the most peaceful feeling when you think of, like, even when you're not thinking about it, because it's just like this underlying
It's just there,
sense of calm that feels really good. And it's actually, I feel like it's helped make me a nicer person, because I just all of a sudden I just feel like I'm more conscious of these little choices in my life, like what's on my plate, and it causes me to look at other areas of my life and extend that compassion.
It's so funny because when you become vegan, you live a life of like intention every time you sit down to eat, and it's so funny when that trickles down to other parts of your life. Like when you have something that you really like in your life, and every time you use it feels good, but there's so many times that you use things that you don't really like and you don't really think about, and they don't bring you that sense of joy. And I feel like my relationship with food is so much more positive because the act of eating is like a stand for something I believe in, and it's so filled with joy. It's so nice.
Well, if you're watching this video and you're even thinking about or considering going vegan, congratulations. We're so happy for you. It's been such a positive change in all of our lives, and we absolutely love it. So we hope you guys do too.
And if you have any non-vegan friends and family who are interested in trying Veganuary, go ahead and share this video with them, and hopefully it'll help them on their journey.
And if you're vegan and you have any tips for non-vegans, leave them in the comments down below. So thank you so much for watching this episode of The Vegan View. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for new videos every Monday, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye!